Indian community who are residing in the United States and also in New York. Let me straight away go across a very good evening for you. Mr. Kunal Sood, who is the founder of Ex-Fellows and Novus, who's based in New York, where it's a morning here, but a very good evening to you, Kunal. I just want to get exactly what is there in New York that you've been witnessing over the last few days. Donald Trump refuses to bring about a complete lockdown, but how exactly New York, being one of the states that is facing the maximum number of cases, what have you witnessed till now, sir?
Well, let me try and get in the, am I okay on camera, or do I need to change it? Okay, so
yes, you are. We can see you and hear you clearly.
All right, so right now in New York, if I'm correct, we jumped from 16,000 to 26,000, cases in the city. And right now, the death toll, I'm just looking at the numbers, is about 271. That's what's been reported so far. The city is not like ever before. The only other time I've seen this city this way is after 9/11. The streets are completely, out of a Hollywood movie, and a lot of people are really concerned for their loved ones, and so am I. I'm for my parents back home in India, so I actually really applaud Modi for being such an extraordinary leader of the nation to take such massive steps to lock down, in India and protect us and the ones we love. But the same is not happening, in my opinion, out here.
What do you think? Yes, well, that is exactly what I was about to ask you, because the same is not happening there in New York. And as you were pointing out, the rise in cases has been humongous, especially we are looking at how it has been spreading in Europe. And hope it does not happen the same, especially when we were listening to the governor there based in New York saying that this is the time when the country, the state needs maximum ventilators. They are not pretty much prepared of the crisis. Please do not take it lightly. But what exactly, when it comes to, they're asking a lot of help from the federal government there, but are you getting that? Are you receiving that?
I think, Trump's doing the best he can, to be very honest with you. There's a lot of politics on the ground here as well with the mayor and the governor and the Fed. But the truth is, I feel the most passion and compassion for the frontline workers, the ones who've turned into heroes, the cab driver, the Uber driver, the UPS, delivery people, and especially the ones in the medical units, our doctors, our nurses. They don't have really enough equipment or protective gear to save them from getting exposed to this virus, because this virus has been seen to be much more contagious than originally thought before. And also, don't forget those numbers that you're looking at, like how many are tested is just the tested number. So I personally feel, and this is my opinion, I'm not stating it as fact, there are a lot more infected cases in New York, especially because we have a whole population of close to 8 million or something like that. And then we also have the other problem, which is even worse, which is it's going to be a tsunami when, this exponential curve starts to create more and tip up, and everything just starts to get worse. And then our healthcare system is going to break, because that's really what I'm most worried about, is the healthcare workers on the front lines, because they're really giving their lives, without fear or favor. And that's what I really salute them the most right now. And look, Cuomo's also being a solid leader. I've heard his speeches. I just hope we can do more. I wish we had locked down kind of like Gavin Newsom had in San Francisco, like completely did a shelter order. But obviously there are reasons that I'm not, behest to, that they haven't been able to do that yet. But I hope they do it fast.
Well, here's hoping that all necessary precautions are being taken up, because President Trump wants the country to be up and running as soon as Easter also comes in. But the WHO on the other side is also citing concerns that the jump in 85% of the cases of coronavirus, 40% of them that has been reported from the United States only. So thanks very much, Kunal, for the moment. Stay safe. We'll connect back with you once again as we get more updates. Thanks very much.
Now, several Indians are living in the United States of America also, and joining me on the broadcast is Vibhuti Jha, the Managing Director of LDG Capitals. based in New York. Vibhuti, many thanks for speaking to us this morning. President Donald Trump himself confirming that US could very well be the next epicenter of coronavirus. We've seen what's happened in China, followed by Italy. The situation is absolutely grim, very serious. What are you really witnessing around you? Are people in a panic mode? You know, is the government really being able to contain that? What's happening around you?
The government, thank you for having me today. The government certainly is getting a solid grip on the challenge. One of the important things is to remember that there is an fear. The fear must not be allowed to turn into a panic. And that's what the administration of Mr. Donald Trump is doing, is to inspire confidence in people that they are doing everything possible to ensure that things are in control. I live in Long Island, and in Long Island, there is a very good connectivity with Manhattan. People go to Manhattan for work, and as a result of which, what happens is that there is a constant connectivity with Manhattan. So today, New York Times reported that all those people who have been in Manhattan, they should be putting themselves in a quarantine, and that's what precisely we are doing. So the government is also trying to pump money into the system, and Republicans and Democrats will come to terms very soon. As the saying goes, every single party in the dispute wants to take maximum advantage. But this is such a kind of a challenge. The uncertainty throws such a challenge that if the government doesn't come to settle the dispute about what the injection of funds will do, the plan is, then there would be a panic. But the markets responded very favorably toward today. It was a once in a lifetime kind of a jump in the market by 11%. So that looks good. People are calm. Where I am in Long Island, people have taken it into stride and they are doing rather well, just as I am doing here, because these days we live in a remarkable era of tectonic shifts brought by technology. So look at it this way, that we are real time in conversation right now as we speak. Day or night, it's evening time here, it's morning in India. I'm touched by the fact that when I came to this country, we used to pay $3.50 for a call per minute to India. Now you have a FaceTime video for almost no cost. So these are the kind of technology that allows people to work from anywhere. You could be sitting in Maui Beach and interacting with the world all over the place. So long as the governments remain on top of the situation to ensure that it doesn't turn into panic, we are okay, because humankind has a very strong resilience factor to ensure that we tide over all crises. So the world is going into a quarantine right now. So it will have.
It's very important to look at the positives. That approach also is very much needed. But there has been a sudden acceleration in the recent past, and keeping that in mind, Donald Trump having refused a total lockdown, do you not see that as problematic? India has already imposed a 21-day lockdown, and we've still very well contained the the stage 2 of coronavirus. But given the current situation in the United States, don't you see that as problematic?
It can be considered problematic, but we have to also look at it from a perspective that what is the mortality rate? The mortality rate is approximately 1% or less. If the mortality rate is 1%, and there is industrial data that 50,000 to 60,000 people die of flu every year. So the question is that if we take adequate precaution of having the mask, keeping the social distance, the very strong phrase these days, if we maintain the modicum of safety between one another, I think economic activity can start. I belong to the school of thought that to curb the uncertainty, I think that all over the world, the governments must close down the stock market for 7 days. That's my view. That stock market must be closed, because what's happening, we are all sitting at home, and that's one live TV. And you see the stock markets gyrating up and down. So as a result of which people see their savings and investments being wiped off or reduced dramatically. And that creates further stress. In order to attend to that, if you are closing the whole societies, you are quarantining the people, it might be a better idea also to close down the markets as well. Because that's what will provide the confidence to people that, okay, we are shut down, so is the market. Whether it's Mumbai Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange in Mumbai, or New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ here, I have a feeling that if they also are closed in quarantine, that will assuage the fear factor of people around the world because money matters. And bear in mind that any of these pandemics, they have triple whammy, as I say it. It has social impact, it has political impact, and it has an economic impact. Each one, people are affected differently, but all at the same time. So that's what is the challenge that one needs to face and address. Because you can't say, I'll put everybody in quarantine, but the market is doing all right. So high-speed traders are making big money, or those who are able to trade or buy, as the saying goes, they are making good. But those who are not, they're suffering. And that's what will create a bigger frustration. And I think that the government needs to control that element rather well.
Well, certainly, the economic consequences certainly stand as a concern. But we here also, and our government has been maintaining that the need of the hour really is to contain the spread of the virus. And in that sense, given that numbers in the United States are increasing rapidly, Donald Trump having said that everything will be back to business soon enough, really, let's see how that works out. But here's hoping that all of you all are safe. Stay safe, Mr. Jain. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. And you too, stay safe. All of you in India. Thank you.